Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be diving in.
So today we're digging into a really interesting set of sources, focusing on some, well, truly massive art pieces.
Yeah, we landed on this article, didn't we? 10 most famous Jesus statues in the world.
Exactly. And our plan really is just to walk through this list the article gives us.
See what stories are behind them, based on what's written here.
And pull out maybe the most surprising bits, the key details for you.
Definitely.
Just glancing at the list initially, what struck me was, well, the sheer size of some of these.
Oh, absolutely.
And also how they're just everywhere, all over the globe.
It's fascinating, isn't it? The article kind of implies they're more than just religious icons.
Right.
They're like cultural landmarks, too.
Mm-hmm.
And each one seems to have its own unique backstory, maybe engineering hurdles, sometimes even some real drama.
Okay, let's get into it then. The article starts with maybe the most obvious one, Christ the Redeemer, Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, you could say that's the poster child, almost. The source calls it the most famous.
And it mentions the style, right? Art Deco.
Exactly. Largest Art Deco statue in the world, apparently. And the size, 30 meters tall for the statue itself,
Wow.
plus an 8-meter base, the pedestal.
Oh,
Arms stretching out 28 meters,
huge.
built between 1926 and 1931. Way up high on Corcovado Mountain. The source really paints it as the symbol for Rio, and for Brazil, really.
30 meters plus the base. I mean, getting that up a mountain, that's nearly a kilometer high, right? The engineering must have been incredible.
No kidding.
Okay, so moving down the list, the article points to another one, but for a different reason. Christ the King in Szczecin, Poland, says it's the tallest.
Ah, yes. But there's a little detail in the source that's, well, pretty important for that claim.
Oh.
It says it's the tallest if you include the mound it stands on,
Oh, okay.
which brings the total height up to 52.5 meters. It's much newer, too, finished in 2010.
Gotcha. So the whole structure is the tallest on this list. Maybe not the statue itself. That kind of nuance is interesting. Makes you think about how these things get measured.
Yeah, it's...
Right. Let's switch gears completely now. The article includes one that's like the total opposite in scale. Cristo della Minerva in Rome.
Yeah, quite the contrast. And
Yeah.
the source includes this, I think, to show that fame isn't always about being gigantic.
So how small are we talking?
Tiny compared to the others. Only 205 centimeters, just, a bit over 2 meters tall.
Okay.
But its fame comes from the artist, Michelangelo.
Wow, the Michelangelo.
Yep. It's marble, finished way back in 1521, and it's inside a church in Rome, Santa Maria sopra Minerva.
Okay, so from over 50 meters counting the mound, down to 2 meters by Michelangelo. That really highlights the different paths to fame, doesn't it, based on what the article chose to include?
Exactly. Size, artist, location.
Let's look at one the article mentions for its resilience. Monument to the Divine Savior of the World. San Salvador, El Salvador, what's its story?
This one shows Jesus standing on, like a globe, the earth. It's on a concrete base.
When was it built?
Originally 1942.
Yeah.
But the key thing the article notes is it got hit hard by a big earthquake back in 86.
Oh.
Yeah, significant damage. But then it was restored, repainted,
Right.
all finished up in 2010. So it's literally stood through disaster.
That adds a whole other layer, doesn't it? A symbol of, like, survival.
And recovery, yeah.
What about visitor interaction? Any of these let you get really close or even go inside? The article mentions Cristo de la Concordia in Cochabamba, Bolivia.
Ah, yes. This one's up on San Pedro Hill. And the source says it's quite accessible.
How so?
Well, you can climb almost 2,000 steps to get there.
Phew. Sound like a workout.
Or, there's a cable car.
Much better. How tall is it?
Total height is 40.44 meters. And here's a cool little detail the article gives.
Yeah.
Its hands point in specific directions. Left hand points south, right hand points north.
Like a compass. That's quirky. I like that.
Memorable, right?
Yeah. So 2,000 steps or cable car. Cable car for me, I think. Okay. Thinking about accessibility, resilience, the huge size contrast, the artists, these statues are definitely not all the same.
Not at all. The
Yeah.
source shows a real variety.
Let's jump over to the U.S. now. The article lists a couple. First, Christ of the Ozarks in Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Right. First of the two U.S. ones in the article. Near Eureka Springs. Built in 1966.
And how big?
Over 20 meters tall, so
Yeah.
about, 67 feet?
Okay. And the other U.S. one, this one has a really dramatic story, according to the source. King of Kings and then Lux Mundi near Monroe, Ohio.
Yeah, this is probably one of the most vivid bits in the article. The first statue, King of Kings, was built in 2004, stood 19 meters, so 62 feet.
Okay.
But then, in 2010, it was struck by lightning.
No way.
Yes, and caught fire, burned down completely. Destroy it.
Gone from lightning.
Gone. The source then talks about its replacement, Lux Mundi, which means light of the world. It's a bit smaller, 15.8 meters, about 52 feet, completed in 2012 on the same spot.
Wow, that's intense. Lightning, talk about symbolism, destruction, and then, like, rebirth.
Makes its story really stand out, doesn't it?
Definitely. Okay, how about internal features? Anything really unique inside one of these? The article mentions Christ of Vung Tau in Vietnam.
Yes, this one's on Mount No. It took a while to build, according to the source.
Yeah.
Started by the Vietnam Catholic Association in 1974, finished in 1993.
And its size.
It's 32 meters high on a 4-meter platform, so 36 meters total. That's about 118 feet. Arm span is 18.3 meters, or 60 feet.
Okay, pretty big. But the internal feature.
Like the cool part, the article highlights. There's a staircase inside it, 133 steps.
You can climb up inside the statue?
Yeah, the visitors go up.
So-
Imagine the view from up there.
That's amazing, not just looking at it, but being in it. That's a totally different experience.
Stands out from the others the article describes, for sure.
Okay, let's shift focus slightly. Is there one that marks something broader, like a historical event? Christ the Redeemer of the Andes, on the Chile-Argentina border.
Ah, this one's fascinating. The location itself is pretty extreme, based on the source. High in the Andes, over 3,800 meters up,
Oh.
right on the border between Chile and Argentina, on the old road between Mendoza and Santiago.
And its purpose.
This is what makes it unique on this list. It was put up back in 1904. And the reason? To specifically mark the peaceful end to a long border dispute between Chile and Argentina.
So it's a peace monument.
Exactly. Using this figure as a symbol of peace between nations. It adds this whole other dimension, historical, political significance, not just religious.
That's really powerful. Okay, one last one on the article's list. Cristo Rei in Lisbon, Portugal.
Right. This one overlooks Lisbon, and the source makes a really clear connection back to the first statue we talked about.
Oh, yeah. How so?
It was directly inspired by Christ the Redeemer in Rio. Apparently, the Cardinal Patriarch of Lisbon visited Rio, saw the statue.
And thought, we need one of those.
Kind of. He was moved to commission a similar one for Portugal. It was built between 1959 and 1969.
So full circle, in a way, inspired by the most famous one. So we've basically done a whirlwind tour, haven't we? Across continents, through different eras, looking at these 10 statues from the article.
We really have, and what a range, right? From the giants like in Poland
Right, the tallest.
to Michelangelo's much smaller piece in Rome. We heard about statues surviving earthquakes in El Salvador or being rebuilt after lightning in Ohio.
And those visitor experiences, climbing 2,000 steps in Bolivia, or going inside the one in Vietnam.
And then the ones marking peace, like in the Andes or directly inspired by others, like Lisbon's. The source really lays out this incredible variety.
Well, hopefully this deep dive, based just on what the article told us, has given you a quick but pretty rich picture of some of these famous depictions of Jesus around the world.
Yeah, and thinking about that variety we just discussed, the huge differences in scale, the reasons they were built, devotion, peace treaties, local landmarks, and where they are, spanning continents and cultures.
What does that all suggest?
Well, maybe something for you to think about.
Mm.
What does this global spread and diversity, just based on this one list, tell us about the figure's impact or how different cultures have represented that figure over time?
A good question to ponder. Something to mull over based on what we've explored from the source today.